episode of My Car Shop, episode 22 in the 47th Street Rod Project. So, there's going to be an all-out war here going on soon in My Car Shop. I have some kind of a creature that gets up above the insulation in my ceiling here in the barn and eats holes through it or chews holes through it or something. Well, they just did another one last night. I'm getting a little bit frustrated with it, so I may have to keep my cats in the house for a while and cure whatever's going on out here, because I've about had it with the amount of that they're tearing up this insulation, and now I've got all kinds of wind leaks in here I've got to fix. Okay, enough of the rant. So today I decided on this fender, as I was looking at it, we have that one little low spot here. It's definitely pronounced with fresh fingers and eyes. I'm also feeling ever so slightly a little bit of waves in there, so I'm going to go ahead and block that out with the long block with some, probably going to hit that with 220 to start, and we'll see where it goes from there, just to expedite a little bit. So that means I'm going to end up having to shoot the top of this fender one more time with primer before I reprime the whole thing, but I think it's going to look a little bit better if I do that. So I'll do that dry. I'm not going to wet sand it. I really want this to be nice and flat, and it is, but as I was thinking about it last night while I was making supper, I just instinctively, I think I haven't spent as much time blocking this one as I did that one, because this one was further behind in the process, and I just want to be really comfortable that that's as flat as can be. So we'll use the flexible block, the long block, not my real hard one, but it should take that down a little bit and just get it a little bit flatter. Hopefully my Eastwood order shows up today, and we'll have some more Christmas presents to open, so that'll be fun. So again, the main objective today is going to be block sanding the front fender here, and then we'll see what time holds. I am going to have to spend some time. This is an Arctic breeze blowing right down in my head. It's about 60 degrees out today. It's about 60 in the shop, but it's windy, which is why the car's still in and the doors are shut. But I've got to deal with this. So anyway, welcome to this episode of My Car's Shop. Okay, so I discovered something here that makes sense now. You remember yesterday I was saying that there was that little low spot here, and I thought there was another one over here, and I had that one mostly worked out. But as I blocked it here today with 320 again, I'll get you over here in just a second, I found that there was also a little high spot right here, and it was kind of being hidden. So what I did, I should have stopped this earlier to show you. I took a spoon, body spoon, and you want to make sure it's very smooth, so I sanded it down. This has been misused over the years. This is a very old tool. It's very old. I actually got it from the guy I bought my Model A from, so he's had it probably since the 40s or earlier. When I bought all his body tools from him when I bought the car. Anyway, so what I did was I found that high spot, and I just laid this on there, and then I knocked it a little bit and just kind of moved it along here just a touch. So it was a combination of these two spots being just a touch low and this spot being high. It just bugged me last night as I thought about it. I got another little teeny low spot here that I got to work on a bit more. This feels much better now. It feels much better. So let's get you over here and let you take a look. Oh, just noticed I didn't put the little C-clip back on the carburetor for the secondary, so I better do that. I'll do that in a minute. Let's get you over here. Okay, so here's what we've got. There was a low spot right here. It's gone, completely gone now. And there was another one that was, it wasn't, I mean, it was a touch low, but what I really found when I sanded was the metal popped up through here. And that was just a bit high, and so I took that spoon and just hit it a couple of spots right here just to knock that down just a little bit. And the reason that I did that with the spoon rather than just tapping it with a hammer is that way it doesn't put peen marks from the hammer into the metal. It's just a nice smooth movement. It still may be just a touch high, but I don't think so. I'm going to hit that with a little bit of fill prime first, and then I'm just going to coat that very lightly with a paper thin coat from about here to here with that glaze, just to be sure that I've got everything right. It'll mostly get sanded off, but I just want to be sure that there's nothing there that I'm missing that's going to be a problem. So that's the next step here, is to get that fill prime on there, the rattle can, and let that etch, especially since I got a touch of bare metal right there, and let that etch a little bit and dry. I'll get the heat on in here, and then in half an hour or so I'll be able to go over that with a little bit of that spot glaze and just blend this spot in just with a paper thin spot. Then we'll get some primer on here again. But everything else that I was worried about, I think it's all gone now. Everything over here feels good. Again, there's just a little minor imperfections I was mentioning here, but I'm not so concerned about those. Up here now feels good. So I think we're golden. I got to check the bottom of the fender in the back again, make sure everything's good down there. But we're getting there. Well, it's good news. I had one of life's happy little accidents. When I pulled out the sandpaper for the board sander, I wasn't paying attention, and I grabbed the roll of 180, and that's what I blocked this with up here. So it was a little more aggressive than I wanted, but again, it was one of those happy little accidents because it's really nice. And so I went over it with the 320. I don't need to skim that now. I figured, well, I'm already here, let's just go for it. So it looked really good. I think we're going to be fine. I also found a little spot back here after I blocked this. Right back in here. You can see that? Yeah, right there. Where this curve comes in here, all that comes into this round shape like up in here. There was a little hump in there, so that's gone now. There was a couple little high spots down here that are gone. So I think we're ready. Got to dry this down real good. Hopefully my prep salt shows up. If you notice, I keep walking over looking out the window. I keep thinking I'm hearing the FedEx truck, so I'm trying to keep an eye on that so I can get my product as soon as it gets here. But I think we're good. I think things are looking good now. So change of plan, as always, with body work. There I go looking again. We're going to, I think we're going to shoot the whole fender. So I think I'm going to dry this off, set this aside, and work on that one and get it blocked down with a 320. And if it looks good, we'll do it with 400. I got one spot I got to fix on that one, like I said, just a minor thing back in the back. But I think we're getting really close. Something else I remembered before I can paint these, though. I don't think I have any seam sealer. I've got to look around, so that's going to be an issue. That may put the painting on hold for a bit. I may have to order some of that, and the rate things are coming, I don't know. I may just end up going up to one of the local auto parts and picking that up. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to stay out of those places, but it's getting to the point here where I've got to get this done. And I think O'Reilly's is doing curbside, and probably Napa is too, so we've got plenty of options. There's 5 auto parts in town, so I'm sure one of them can help me out. I have accounts at Auto Value, but well, it doesn't matter. One of them anyway. So. Okay, so got that spot ground down. There was a little rust bubble there. Something underneath broke out, and must not have caught it when I fixed it the first time, so it's gone now. So we'll just get a little teeny bit of filler in there and get that blended back in, and we'll be good to go. I ended up having to give this a little bit of a skim coat. I just wasn't happy with it. Bodywork is one of those things that you're constantly making judgment calls and then second guessing yourself, and you just got to trust your guts. So I put a very thin, paper thin coat of glaze there, and it feels really good. There's one little teeny whoop here, but I think that's going to block out once I prime it again. And what I'm going to do is hit this top of this fender real good, you know, and heavy with primer, as I mentioned. And I got a few other little spots I'll dust in like last time, and we'll go from there. Sand that out one more time, then this fender should hopefully be ready to final prime. So I haven't blocked this one out yet, but I've been going over it real good. Everything feels good, so you never know what's going to show up once you start doing the 320, but 320 and then 400. But we'll see. So I'm going to get started on this now and get this one blocked out while that one dries a bit. Then I can touch up that spot on the bottom of this one, and when I prime this, I can touch that up real quick, and then we'll be ready on this one, hopefully. Okay, so here's where we're at with this fender. That's a wet spot. There's a couple spots in here where it needs a little bit more sanding. Right in here. I don't know if you can tell, it's really hard to see in the camera. The color is, you can just see a little bit of that orange peel in there, so it's not sanded enough. That's just still got some moisture in it. There's a spot right there. This dark spot here is just moisture. But the top of the fender is golden. There's a little teeny spot right there. Just catch that with the Scotch Brite. A little bit in there, so I want to get that orange peel out of there. But other than that, this thing is flawless. It's really nice. Right in here along this lip needs work. As far as just needs sanding, I can feel it's rough. It's not smooth like it needs to be. So we've got to deal with that. And of course, I got my little spot back there. I didn't fill that yet because I wanted to see if there was anything else I was going to need to deal with, but this fender looks phenomenal. I'm very happy with it. There's a couple of spots. That's a wet spot, I think. Oh no, that's just a little different color of primer. It might be another layer underneath. But everything down here is real good where we had those little problems before. I don't think we're going to get any better than this. So it's going to require going over it with a fine-tooth comb again. I'll probably block it out right before I paint it. I'm not going to block it again right now. I'll touch up those spots, but I'm going to get the back of that fender fixed right now, and we'll go from there. So looking great. This fender is really close, so I guess I better get on Eastwood or something and get some seam sealer ordered, because that's going to be the holdup right now in getting this painted. Okay, so here's where we're at with this now. I'm going to slow that time lapse down a little bit so you might be able to see what I was doing. I put the mud on there, just a little bit of mud in there, and of course it was over everything that I had ground out. But before it got too hard, I took my fingernail and just kind of peeled it off as much as I could to get it as close to the edge of that spot that I had ground in there so it would fill that. Waited just a little bit more, and then sanded it into shape. So it's not, I mixed it rather lean on the hardener, so it's going to take a bit longer for this to harden. But I did that on purpose so I could work with it. And I mean, a lot of body work is nothing more than sculpting. You're sculpting with metal, you're sculpting with plastic, and of course you're finishing things with paint that fills and primer that fills and things like that. So it really is art in many ways. It's a recreation or a sculpture with different materials when you're repairing these things. But anyway, so I'm going to let that dry a little bit. Then I will hit that with a little bit of that etch prime just to give it a little fill, and then I'll go over that with just a slight little bit of that glaze. and should be good to go. And then we can start getting things back in yellow again. Okay, so we got her in the etch prime now, and let that dry for a while. It's time for me to take a break and get some food. Getting a bit hungry here and thirsty, so that'll give this plenty of time to dry up. And the heat is going, should be nice and toasty in here. When I get back out here, I'll get this finished up, and then we will get some yellow primer put on the spots on the other one that need it to fill a bit more, and touch this up real quick, and that should do it for today. So moving good progress here. I'm going to decide what I'm doing about the seam sealer. Better look and see if I have any, but if I do, it's probably from when we painted Joe's Charger, which has been a couple of years now, so several years. So probably not going to be any good. It'd be hard in a tube, but I'll see what I got, but if not, we'll get some ordered. Okay, so after a lunch break, I'm back out here again. This is just drying right now. We just got a real thin little spot there because there was two little teeny marks, and again a little thin coat here on the bottom of the fender. I'll get that smoothed out, and then we'll be able to shoot primer on the back of this fender. I want to shoot a coat on the top of this fender here so that we can block that out one more time before we do hopefully our final sanding on this. Something else I remembered, I did built a fender bottom down here on this, and I forgot that I got to drill holes through here for the there's a piece of stainless that goes down there, so I've got to do that before we paint it, but not a big urgency to do it, but I just got to remember to do it. So there you go. Okay, things are looking good here now. Got those little spots filled in. Shot that one more time with there's still just the most minor little thing there, but I really think that's going to come out in the primer. And this here, I'm just waiting for it to dry. I got the primer already mixed in the gun, so as soon as I can touch that with a little bit of 320, we're going to shoot this thing. Hang on. All right, as soon as that dries up, we'll shoot it one more time, and that'll be good to go, I think. So things are looking good. It's turning out pretty good down there. I can see just a little minor thing there, but I'm pretty sure I can block that out. And top of the fender, from what I can see so far, it looks really good. Two minor imperfections that I see. Those are going to block out nice. So way better than it was yesterday. And not yesterday, I thought it was good, but like I said, the top of the fender, especially on my side, it's got to be perfect. I got to look at it. It'll drive me crazy if there's just a tiniest little wave in there. So, all right, we're going to let this dry up, and then we'll do a live video on the last shoot, and we'll wrap this episode up for the day. All right, let's get this wrapped up here. Call it a day. Let this stuff dry good overnight, and hopefully, of course, this driver's side fender is going to get shot one more time completely, but right now I want to get those little imperfections out of there, and it's really looking good. I can still see them, but it's a much different scenario now. Well, here we go. I'm going to crank the gun back just a little bit. Not that much. There we go. So if you notice what I'm doing, I started in the middle, heavy, and then I'm feathering out. That's going to get me that build in the area there where I want it. That's it. So yeah, that's what I did there, was start in the middle, get it real heavy, and then build out so it feathers out, and that's going to help build up that low spot just a little bit so that I can get that fixed better. I'm really happy with it. If I painted it the way it was, you'd really look good. It would look good yesterday, but today it would look even better. But when I'm done with it, it's going to be perfect. I'm almost positive. So, and for a car like this, it needs to be. So, all right, let me get my gun cleaned up here, and then we'll do today's wrap up. Okay, so here's what we've got there. I think it's looking really good. Very happy. Like I said, a couple minor imperfections there, but nothing big. Everything's going to block out nicely. All right, well, that's going to do it for today's episode of My Car Shop. I appreciate you taking time to watch. Hope you're enjoying the project. I know I certainly am. I admit it was a bit tough to get out here and get motivated today, knowing how much time I was going to have to spend block sanding. It's not exactly my favorite thing to do, but the labor is worth the return on the investment. So thanks for watching. If you would, drop a comment. That would be great. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Hit the bell. That gives you notifications when we upload new videos or do premieres and that kind of stuff. So, and be sure to tell your friends. Let's see if we can get more people to join us here. That helps me out. I appreciate it. Make it a great weekend for yourself. Rock on.